Sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones whispered around campfires. They're the ones that happen in places we think are safe, cheap hotel rooms, quiet hallways, and night shifts that blur into loneliness. Tonight we follow Robart, a simple delivery worker who just wanted a quiet weekend getaway. He didn't know that one innocent trip to New Jersey would leave him with a memory too horrifying to forget. What happened inside his hotel room wasn't a ghost story, but something far more real, something breathing, something watching, something waiting. Robart used to work night shifts for a small delivery company, so on his off days, he would take short weekend trips alone just to get out of the house. During one of these trips, he stayed at a cheap hotel in New Jersey because it was close to a hiking trail he wanted to check out the next morning. The hotel wasn't terrible, but it had that old smell, and the hallways were too quiet, like no one else was staying there at all. Robart checked in during the early evening, and the woman at the front desk told him housekeeping had already cleaned all the rooms for the night. He didn't think much about that detail until much later when everything unfolded. His room was on the second floor, and the hallway light flickered as he walked to the door. He didn't pay much mind to how creepy the hotel was, because he was just so tired. He wanted to eat, shower, and go to sleep. The room looked clean at first glance. The sheets were tucked in perfectly, but the pillow on the chair looked slightly crooked. He fixed it without thinking and turned on the TV. After relaxing for a while and eating snacks, he got in the shower. When he came out, the bathroom mirror was foggy, and the room felt colder than before. He brushed it off and got into bed. The room had a dark corner near the small closet, and he kept noticing it out of the corner of his eye. It made him feel like someone was standing there, even though he knew it was empty. He eventually fell asleep, but sometime after midnight he woke up because he heard a strange, soft noise. It sounded like something sliding on the carpet in the corner of the room. He opened his eyes slowly and listened. The room was dim because the curtains were thin and some light from the parking lot slipped through. He thought maybe he was imagining things because he was half asleep. But then he heard quiet breathing coming from near the closet. He stayed completely still because fear hit him immediately. The breathing was slow, like someone trying to stay quiet but struggling. He tried convincing himself it was the air conditioner, but the AC unit was on the other side of the room and made a completely different sound. He didn't want to sit up, terrified of what he might see, but eventually he forced himself to. He slowly pushed himself upright and looked toward the closet. At first he saw nothing, just darkness. But then he noticed something that twisted his stomach. The closet door, which he clearly remembered leaving completely open earlier, was now slightly closed. Not fully, but noticeably, as if someone had touched it. He stared at the narrow gap and listened. The breathing stopped the moment he sat up. That made everything worse because it meant something, or someone, knew he was awake. Frozen, he waited in silence before finally gathering the courage to get up. Moving very slowly, he backed toward the door, with his eyes locked on the closet. When he reached the door handle, he turned it carefully and stepped into the hallway. It was empty and somehow even quieter than before. His heart pounded as he went downstairs to the front desk, but no one was there. The desk phone was ringing, echoing through the room, but no one picked up. He didn't know whether to wait or look for someone. He did not want to go back upstairs alone. After a few long minutes, the woman from earlier came out from the back room, tired and confused. When he told her someone was in his room, she looked puzzled and said housekeeping was gone for the night, and no one had keys to guest rooms except herself and one older housekeeper who had left hours earlier. She offered to check the room with him or move him to another one. Her calm attitude made him doubt himself a little, but he asked her to return with him to the room. They went upstairs together. He expected to see the closet half closed again or something disturbed, but everything looked perfectly normal. The closet was wide open. The pillow on the chair was perfectly straight. Nothing appeared touched. The woman checked behind the curtains, in the bathroom and under the bed, but found nothing. She suggested maybe he had a nightmare or woke up confused. He felt embarrassed but didn't argue. Instead, he switched to another room down the hall. She handed him a new key, and he moved his things quickly before locking the door. He checked every corner twice before lying down again. He tried to sleep, but fear kept his eyes open. It was only around 1 a.m., and the night felt endless. He listened carefully for any unusual sounds. After about an hour, just as he started drifting off, he heard something that froze him completely, the sound of a housekeeping cart rolling slowly down the hallway. The squeaky wheels echoed loudly. But it was hours past housekeeping time, and the front desk woman had said no one else was working. He sat up immediately. The wheel stopped right outside his door. He held his breath. Then came the worst part, the breathing. Heavy, slow breathing, the same breathing he had heard inside the first room, now right outside his door. It continued for nearly a full minute. He wanted to run or call someone, but his phone was across the room on the desk, and he was too terrified to move. Then came a soft knocking sound, not with knuckles, but like someone pressing their palm against the door. Feeling the door, testing it. Eventually, the breathing stopped and the wheels started squeaking again as the cart was pushed away down the hall. After a few minutes, he got up, looked through the peephole, but the hallway was completely empty. The cart was gone. He considered calling the front desk again, but was certain they would think he was crazy. He locked the chain, pushed a chair against the door, and stayed awake for the rest of the night. He couldn't stop thinking about the breathing, the closet door, and the noise. Maybe someone had been hiding in that room long before he ever entered it. By early morning, just after sunrise, he left the room and went downstairs to check out. A man was at the desk instead of the woman. When Robart told him what happened, the man gave him a strange look before explaining something deeply unsettling. They hadn't had a housekeeper on staff for the last week. The woman who used to work nights just stopped showing up until they hired someone else. Either he or the person on front desk duty would clean the rooms themselves. He paused, then admitted the missing housekeeper still had her keys. Robart realized then what terrified him most. The woman at the front desk had said housekeeping already cleaned all the rooms that evening, even though no housekeeper had been working for days. Either she lied, or she truly believed the missing woman was still doing her rounds. Robart left immediately, never looking back. He couldn't shake the memory of the breathing, the closet door, and the feeling that someone had been hiding in that room before he ever checked in. He never stayed anywhere near that hotel again. If you've ever stayed alone in a quiet hotel room, you know how easily silence can turn into fear. But for Robart, that fear wasn't imagined. Something or someone was truly there, watching, moving, breathing. If stories like this send chills down your spine, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who loves horror just as much as you do. And remember, always check the closet. Always.